Sure, I think we're pretty close at the bottom. I mean, to be very honest with you, and the reason I say this is because when I look at companies, the Indonesian companies, a lot of them have very strong cash flows. They have very strong balance sheets, so they can weather the next 9 months pretty well. Despite if people don't go to the malls, don't go to restaurants, they still have their balance sheets to sustain their employees, capex or whatever. Maybe some of the big decisions they can defer. But to your point, I think it doesn't have to rely on the corporates. I think the government also has to step in. And how the government can actually step in.
What kind of intervention that you expect will help the market?
I think, what Ibu Sri Mulyani mentioned about, the delayed or, the free tax, temporary relief on tax will help, especially
payroll tax.
Yes, and especially on employees and also perhaps in the private sector, especially for corporates. Because even if corporate tax is being reduced from 25% to 20 or 15, it just gives a temporary relief for companies to manage this short-term, softness. Because if I review right, the expectations for this year is going to be 5% GDP. That was initially what was in the budget last year for 2020. I don't think we're going to achieve that 5%.
We're not going to achieve it. So how's your projection?
I think, in the first quarter, I'll be happy if we're above 4.5. Given what we see on the streets. But I think, we're going to be in between 4.5 to 5%, that range of GDP growth. I think it will be more towards the middle, 4.7 to 4.8 for that. But this is only premised on what the government actually does. In terms of, if the government doesn't do anything, then we might actually see that companies cut people because, there's a fixed cost. They can't sustain the employees if there's no business. But if the government steps in to cut, taxes, give a relief, a stimulus, for example, then at least people feel calm. The issue now is people feel panic. There's a lot of fear, and I think this can be, controlled gradually and slowly.